Hi, this is Miss Andrea. I'm one of the STEM educators here at Children's Museum Houston, and I am doing a project with you today with the sponsorship from Hamill Foundation. The project I'm bringing today is a question that I thought of the other day. I was like, how do trees drink? You know, trees are really, really important. I think that trees are one of the most important things that we have, and so I like to make sure that we can take care of them. And to take care of them, we should understand how they work. So I decided to do a project that shows you how trees drink, because trees can't get a straw and just suck up water, right? First of all, no mouth, no hands, no opposable thumbs. So how do trees drink? We kind of know a little bit about how plants work, right? Trees are very similar. The way that a leaf works is that it takes the energy from the sun and it takes the water and it makes its own food, right? And some of you may have learned in school that leaves have something called stomata. And with stomata, the water is able to leave the leaf and evaporate into the air. So water needs to take its place. Where does that water come from? So the water actually travels up to the leaf through what is called a xylem. A xylem is all these elongated cells that form and then die, and basically they leave like a little pipe behind. And it kind of like the straw, the water goes up. So once that water evaporates from the leaf, then, you know, water molecules, they really like to stick together, so they'll pull each other up. The water is coming up through here. There's also something called phloem, and phloem is where the food travels up and down the plant. It goes to where it's needed. Now this is alive. The cells in here are alive, so it's able to go up and down. But water in the xylem only goes in one direction, up. Because their cells are dead, they cannot pump the water. The water goes when there is evaporation, it's called transpiration. The water will get pulled up by all the other water molecules. So now we know where the water is, how it's going up, how it's going out of the leaves, how does it get into the roots? Because like I said, it cannot drink. And even if it drank with a straw, it get all kinds of dirt and bugs and all kinds of nasty things in there, right? So how does it do it? Well, that's why I'm doing this project with you today, because it's a little bit harder. It's through a process called osmosis. And osmosis is a big science word. It scares people because they're like, what is that? Oh, I don't know. I don't want to learn about this. But actually, it's a lot of fun. The project I have for you is a lot of fun, so you can actually see it with your own eyes. I like to see stuff with my own eyes. I like to see stuff happening. Then I can understand it a little bit better. So I'm going to show you the materials that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to get us started on the project, and I'll explain what osmosis is. It's really not as scary as it sounds. So for the part that's a little bit more difficult to understand, the osmosis, I'm going to go ahead and have us do an experiment. So what you will need for this experiment is a potato. You will need a knife. If you have a potato peeler, that's great. It's nicer not to have big chunks missing, but it's not absolutely necessary. You're going to need salt. Food coloring, the food coloring is optional. You really don't need that either. You're going to need water, and you're going to need a shallow bowl or a dish. Let me explain real quick about osmosis, and then we're going to actually go through the experiment, and then you can see and understand it. So osmosis, you have what is called a semi-permeable membrane, and that allow some things in and will keep some things out. So you have all these little root hairs that are out there, and the water will come in, it will go through the membrane, and it will keep everything else out. And when you do that, when it does that, that is actually the process of osmosis, when that water goes through. So how does the water know when to go into the tree root? Nature really likes balance a lot. So you have minerals and water outside of the root, and you have minerals and water inside the root. And as long as they're the same, then everything's good. However, if there is less water and more minerals, then the water will come in. And a tree is real smart. It will send down extra minerals so that it makes it unbalanced. And then the water will come in through the membrane, and it will fill and balance out. So a tree does that on purpose. Remember, with the phloem, it can go both ways. So it will create an imbalance. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to create an imbalance so that you can see what happens when there is more mineral than there is water, and how nature balances it out. So we are going to use, do we go through? We're going to use our salt. and we're going to use that as our minerals to create the imbalance. You're going to take your potato. I already peeled this one this morning. You're going to completely peel it, and then you're going to cut your potato in half. Now, you're not going to cut it hot dog style. You're going to cut it hamburger style. So if you cut it hot dog style, it's okay. It'll still work, but it's going to be a lot easier for it to sit if you do it hamburger style. So after I peeled my potato, I cut it hamburger style, and then I had 2 halves. And what I did was I cut the bottom, a little bit of the bottom off so that it could sit on there flat. So you'll take the bottom and you'll flatten it out. I'm going to make them a little bit more even. So now you have 2 potato pieces. And I carved a little bowl inside of each one of them. And then I took my napkin and I dried them so that they're both completely dry before I put them in the water. Now, the way that I created the imbalance was I took my salt and I poured it into one of them, and then I left the other one without any salt. And then I filled my water to about here. You don't want to fill the water where it overflows into the bowl. You want to leave it just underneath. And then you're going to set both pieces in there. Now, if you want, you can add food coloring, because eventually the food coloring will show up here. Will it show up in both? That's part of the experiment you want to try yourself. So I will show you one that I did an hour ago so that you can kind of see, does the water come in the area that is unbalanced? Let's take a look. So I did this earlier this morning, at least an hour ago. And I was really surprised to see that the water is already coming in. Do you see it? I dried both of them. And if you notice, this potato without the salt is completely dry. And the potato that has the salt in it is collected a lot of water. So already you see that the nature is trying to balance things out. Now this works both ways. What would happen if I put salt in the water surrounding them and a little bit of water in each one of these? What would happen, do you think? So I don't know. I don't know what would happen. I think that that's an experiment that maybe you could try. Or you could do several potatoes with different amounts of salt. So I didn't really measure this out because I just wanted to show you the process of osmosis. But you could try different amounts of salt and see if it makes a difference. Or you could put salt water instead of water and see what happens. I mean, this is part of the fun of science. But now you understand how trees drink. And trees are really important. If the water stops flowing within the tree system, it could kill a tree, because this is not actually being pumped out. It is being caused by water evaporating out of the stomata. So as that evaporates out, it brings water up, water comes from the soil, and if you really want to look at it as a cycle, when it evaporates into the air, it becomes water vapor and eventually becomes clouds, and eventually it rains, and that rain comes back into the soil. So then you have water coming in from the soil, going through the roots, up the tree, out the stomata, and then becoming rain clouds and raining back again. It all starts over again, so it becomes a cycle. So I hope you enjoyed that project. I hope you try the experiment, because even if you saw me do it, it's nothing like seeing it in person and trying it yourself. So that was our project on how trees drink. I hope that you understand it a lot better now. I hope that you try this project, because even if you saw me doing it, there is nothing like doing it yourself and actually coming back and checking on it and seeing it happen. It's really exciting. And I guarantee you, no matter how old you are, a lot of people don't understand how this works, this is worth learning, because it will help you to understand how lots of things happen. Osmosis is not just with trees, but it's also processes that happen in the body. So I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I would like for you guys to have a happy Halloween, because I intend to have a happy Halloween. And I will see you later.